is all that really intuitive? Can you control it in any way?
What we're talking about painting?
The feeding in of the printmaking into the painting, maybe the painting into the printmaking. How do they feed in? What does that mean in reality?
Well, I suppose if I think back to, not necessarily this work, because this is more feeding into sculpture, but the work I did the last lot with screen printing, I'd been doing, I'm fascinated by colour. I'm just curious about it, how it works, what two things occur when you put two colours together, just transparent layers and so on. So I started doing a series of watercolours. Just very simple, just blocks of colour, lines and blocks, nothing representational. Although the colours will have come from something seen. And putting watercolour on, I'd never done watercolour before, I'm not a watercolourist. But I like the idea of putting that on and then removing quite a lot of it and then putting another colour on and seeing what you're left with. So they're not pictures of things, they're just about colour. And then it seemed logical to take that into screen printing because I could do transparent colours and I could play with it in a different way. So I've got a screen, I've got newsprint, and that's it. I've got no special device or no air press or anything like that. No way of making stencils other than tearing bits of newsprint. So that's why I mean that one thing's led into another, and then the screen prints will go back towards the watercolours because things have occurred in the screen prints that I hadn't thought of doing in the watercolours, and the watercolours will then go into the oil paintings. Someday. Does that help a bit?
Yes.
No one's mentioned lithography.
No.
Lithography is it sort of works in the hinterland between painting and
absolutely.
making.
And it is, I've done it. It's we're talking about presses taking control. Oh my lord, the lithographic plate is 90% of control over the press, over your print, because you've got that timing of the oil and water and sponging and pushing it through, and it's fascinating. I think it's hinterland down to various things, down to especially if you're using stone, and you're grinding the stones down to make for clean plates and stuff. It's a lot of space, a lot of stuff, a lot of equipment, a lot of knowledge, and it's quite a particular thing. Photolithography is a little easier, but like you said about the digital, it kind of takes an edge off the direct draw. I was privileged to have seen Paul Arago make lithographs in Cambridge, at Cromer in Cambridge, and she went there to do them, and I was teaching with a group of grotty year 10s next door. And her and I met up again years later at the tent, and she was after the residence. But it does require that. It requires a technician with you, really. Yeah. I don't know many of the lithographers who go solo without some real help. But it is, in terms of direct mark, I would say it's the most. You are drawing on that stone, and that drawing becomes the print. You don't get more direct than that in printmaking, really.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Again, I've done some photoplate lithography at Kerwin.
Yeah.
And I'm second what Sally says. It does for me. I was working with both hand drawn and photographic images. So I don't know. It just takes something away.
You make nice things.
You can make nice things, but it's it just takes that something. And I would love to do a stone lithography course, but they are getting few and far between, unfortunately. And is it true that all the stones
it's finite?
We haven't got any more.
No, we haven't got more. They're having to that's it. We've used it all up, so the stones we have are having to be recycled and reused. I mean, they're thick beasts, and there's not many people doing it. No. But no, we've mined it out.
Yeah, it's a very specific.
It's a very specific stone somewhere in Italy.
Yeah, and it's all been quarried.
Yeah,
so
it's gone.
Yes, I acquired a Keith Vaughan lithographic print for next to nothing, actually.
Isn't that joy when that happens?
From a man called Willis Feast, who was being generous, and he just let me have it, you know. And a few years later, when I was suffering severely from financial cramp, I had to sell it. I had to let it go, and it went for £6,000. Just a lithographic print, but I mean, he was so good, and I always admired Keith Vaughan as a painter.
It's a painter. It's a
He was
painter's
able
process.
to transfer that, you know, painterly sense into lithography. That I thought was very, very special.
It is a painter's way of working. Yeah, let's see. Who's currently?
Lost.
I don't know.
Well, isn't it becoming a lost art?
It's becoming a lost art.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. It's very physical. I found it very, it's quite art. Hard way to work.
Well, do you mind explaining exactly how it works?
Oh, a lithograph is you have a stone that's perfectly smooth and it's sanded smooth, so you can keep reusing it. Do chip in if I get anything wrong, because I may have done it a couple of times. And it's ground down, and then you draw on it with a crayon, lithographic crayon, and then I don't know how to describe it. You then wet the whole plate. And before that's disappeared, you roll your printing ink on. Now think about it, lithographic crayon is wax. So that's going to reject the water you put on, and within seconds, you're rolling an oil-based ink on top that the water rejects. Right, so you've got this play of oil and water. So you therefore have a lovely, technically clean stone with your drawing that has printing ink on it, and that goes through the press. But it's it's this that if you don't get enough water, then you've got printing ink where you don't want it. Obviously, if you have too much water, it doesn't hit the wax.
Why is the stone so vital? Could you not?
It has to be.
Sort of metal.
Yeah, I mean you can do photolithography. It has to be super smooth. It's not, I don't think there's anything else in the world that is that sandable down to the smoothest, because it mustn't pick up any texture. You don't want any texture, you want it smooth. And so it's ground down to get it smooth again after a while, because you still sometimes see traces of other artists' drawings where it's totally embedded in, but they tend to get ground down, and then off you go again.
I think the stone has a particular quality that it can be sensitised to both receiving oil-based ink, and through you put it.
Oh, there's a rosin, isn't there?
It's not
Where
rosin.
does that come in?
It's a gum.
It's a gum.
It's slightly acidic
like
gum.
Gum Arabic?
It's a slightly acidic gum, which then rejects the
That's it.
grease.
That's
so
a bit in the middle I missed out.
This rare kind of stone has this strange property of being both receptive to water and ink, depending on how you sensitise it. You can use aluminium.
You can use aluminium, and you can use. There's Sue Brown. What's her name? Sue Brown talks what they call kitchen sink.
Yeah, on YouTube.
And she teaches on YouTube, and I've tried that, and I ended up with ink in my armpits. I mean, it's like, I'm a messy girl, but it was just like, Lord's sake, there must be an easy way to make it work.
I've never made it work.
I've never made it work. I've never been able to make it work.
No.
It's just,
And you think it's going to be something you can do easily at home with the Coca-Cola?
yes,
and all
because
that
when you
sort of-
see her do it, it looks really easy. No.
I'm determined to make it work one day.
I
even if I
walked
never
away.
use it
I
again.
walked away.
There is a,
Sorry.
we do a course with the printmaking class.
Yeah, I was talking to
Oh, what, kitchen sink then?
one of your colleagues last week.
Yeah.
I'm determined to try it.
Yeah.
Just because I want to make it work.
Oh yeah, Laura runs it.
So yeah, it's the Gum Arabic, and you're right, I missed the layer, and Coca-Cola.
Yeah. But it's the gum Arabic in Coca-Cola, isn't it? That makes. Don't ask me.
No,
There's a slightly acidic quality,
It's the acidic quality, the rock
which will
that
desensitise the stone from
Yeah.
receiving grease.
Yeah.
So,
There's a slightly acidic quality to the gum arabic, which desensitises the stone to receiving grease.
And that's what you're playing
Creates
around
the
with.
rejection. It's a lot of finesse is involved. So
I'm
it's
sure
tricky.
I read this morning that Cohen are doing
They
it.
probably
They
are.
do.
And that they've got somebody who's just got
It's not in residence, it's an award of some kind,
Oh.
as a lithographer.
Yeah, they do the occasional.